do, folks? It's your boy Charles Younger here, along with Professor G, Mark Gray, coming with you, Maryland live at the Voice of College Football, where we bring you nothing but the best in Maryland football news. Professor G, Mark Gray, how are you doing today?
Boy, hey, doing just great. Beautiful day outside, not too hot, not too humid. Wonderful day. Another day closer to college football season. You know, the kickoff is literally 22 days away as we record this week. So, hey now.
Hey, now we are some all stars. Get your game on.
That's right. It is on.
But
And I will say this. The energy is at an all-time high, at least from my perspective, going into a season. Oftentimes, there's uncertainty in Maryland about the direction that the football program is going. Can they, in fact, compete in the Big Ten? And I've been beating this monkey ever since we launched the show. With the change of direction in the front office, with the influence of tremendous coaches and a leader like Mike Loxley, you just get the feeling that the energy and camaraderie and organization are all flowing in unison right now. And if you'd have told me that was going to happen in March, you could have taken every dollar I had in my pocket. But right now, this looks like a program that's finally got its legs up under it. It's operating as a team that looks to win and perhaps contend. I can't say that we've had that for about the last decade, even getting into the conference at Maryland. So there's an interesting vibe. Now, vibes don't win games. You know, they don't block, tackle, or hit anybody, but you just get a new sense of energy from the program. Even when you were going to school there, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a new world order. I talked to some of my friends who had played in the program in the glory days, and they're like, "Yeah, we think we're moving." So when you got alumni players, you've got a fan base, and most important, the local side, man. The fact that a lot of these kids are either coming back home to play at Maryland or have decided, you know, I could do a lot worse than staying at home to play. I think those are intangibles that really are going to pay big dividends throughout the course of this season. I don't know if that looks like a bowl game or if it's a spot in the college football playoffs. But as long as you're in postseason on the other side of 500, I think that now officially should be it should be a thought that anything less than those two criteria would be caused to look as a wasted season.
well, that direct line from president to AD to coach goes down to what we're going to talk about primarily today, and that is the quarterback battle. The Maryland Terrapins have three phenomenal young guys who are battling for the spot to be the number one guy in Maryland. Starting off with Justin Martin, who transferred in from UCLA. We have Christian Barton, who was a three-star recruit from Highland Springs, who's been in the program for a year, has not taken the snap yet. And four-star recruit, probably one of the top quarterback recruits to ever come to Maryland since the days of, yesteryear. And Malik Washington, Boomer, yeah. Malik Washington from Glen Burnie. So first off, we're going to talk about all three of these guys, and each one's going to get a chance to win their starting quarterback job from us. But we're going to talk about each one of them in their own personal segment. So we're not going to mesh them all together. We're going to give them the time to breathe and learn, and we're going to let the fans know who these guys are as they take snaps under center.
But what I will say is that they do have a sense of camaraderie about them, which the more and more I back away from the last media availability that we had, is comforting and concerning. It's comforting. You see the guys pulling for one another. You see the guys wanting the best for their teammates. And you see the guys who are working together with a unique camaraderie in that quarterback room. Hey, that's a blessing. Now, the downside to that is most great quarterbacks are alpha dogs.
Mm-hmm.
It is about me. It is about me being the guy that believes he can rally the troops better than anybody else to give us a better chance to win. Again, three great high character young men. You know what I'm saying? You always want the best for your teammate, but you want to be the best while you are that teammate. There's a really interesting dynamic. I admire the camaraderie, but sometimes when you have three quarterbacks, you may not have one. I think we got all the talent in the room to do a variety of different things, and you couldn't have a better quarterback guru in college football than Pep Hamilton. But again, understanding the ego of that position, which may be the most ego driven position in all of sports at any level, right? You have to ask yourself, is it good to have three great quarterbacks instead of having just one real dog? That's the thing I'm interested as far as the storyline that is concerned going into, who's going to be the leader coming out of camp and who's going to keep that job. And is that person coming out of camp going to be the leader for the entire season? Really interesting dynamic at that position right now. The most important position, quite frankly, in college football.
Well, let's start off with possibly the leader in the clubhouse, and that is Justin Martin, who transferred from UCLA. He was a three-star recruit coming out of high school. Let's give it a quick little background on this young man. Appeared in 5 games across 3 seasons at UCLA. He tallied 179 yards passing on 24 completions and 1 touchdown against in 2024. Excuse me. He had a start against Penn State where he had that 107 yards and 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Played in 2 games in 2023 and redshirted in 2022. He has 2 years of eligibility left, so he can possibly, win the job here and next year and have the other 2 guys sit behind him. He was a 4-star recruit out of high school. Excuse me, not 5, 4-star recruit out of high school, according to 247 Sports and ESPN Rivals, ranked 228 overall by Rivals and number 14 pro style quarterback. And he has passed for 2,100 yards and 41 touchdowns in 2021, leading Inglewood to the Ocean League title in the CIF Southern Section Division II semifinal appearance. So he's been a winning quarterback at every level until once he's had the opportunity to play, obviously in high school. And UCLA, he did not have that opportunity to start. And here he's fighting for the opportunity to start. So the adversity of not getting the chance to start coming out of high school at UCLA, coming to Maryland, do you think that's going to be the driving factor that might put him over the top when it comes to be one of the top quarterbacks in this 3-man battle for the starting job?
I'm not a big fan of adversity, but you know what they say: what either sharpens the blade makes you stronger, and I think that's what Justin gets. It's a life journey that these 3 quarterbacks have taken, and it's a real interesting dynamic. And Justin seems to be the guy that is able to step back and look at the position from a macro level. You know what I'm talking to? Understanding that our room is a brotherhood. We're better if we have all 3 guys on the common ground making big plays or having the potential to make big plays when we need to make them in order for the team to win. I like that mentality. Now what that looks like in terms of completion percentage, touchdown passes, interceptions, or what have you. But guys seem to be grounded. Oftentimes you can hear a little bit of shade, and for our older members of the audience, that's unflattering commentary, if you will, on the down low. Used in proper context, it's called shade. I didn't see anybody throwing any shade. You know what I'm saying? And how would I define it by shady quarterback behavior? Say Aaron Rodgers being coached by Robert Saleh. That's the kind of shade I'm talking about. Okay, so
you done messed up Ron.
Right. Well, he can do that because he's Ron. But the point I'm trying to make is, with that background, the young fella just doesn't have. It's like he's confident, but not arrogant. Intelligent and smart, understands the big picture, that's more than just what happens on the field and in the game. It's an interesting dynamic for somebody at that age, between 18 and 23, 24, that's able to process life and effectively execute that. But if you can do that in your life, it should translate to on the football field. And to me, that's the energy that I get from those three young men. Each of them brings a different energy, similar skill sets, but most important, there's a camaraderie. They seem like they are the rally the troops, galvanizing leadership type of player. And like I said, quarterback in football period is the alpha. All right, let's be clear. I don't think that there's any other sport except for maybe Major League Baseball with a pitcher that's hot, but I wouldn't even use that because that guy's only going to get the ball maybe once, twice a week, depending. You know what I mean? These guys have it every single week, and I like the demeanor. I really, really do.
And shout out to Eben J. Thomas Sr., who's on the chat here, shooting out some positive vibes. He says all three are capable. And speaking of that, let's hear directly from Justin Martin. We were there at the practice this past Tuesday. We had to talk to all three quarterbacks. This is about a quick little 5-minute segment of Justin Martin, see what he has to say about his job as starting quarterback.
And vice versa. So we all help each other. Like, we all want to get to the same place, and that's all that matters.
How could you use playing snaps at major college level to kind of maybe ease you into the transition to Maryland?
Yeah, honestly, it just gives me that sense of confidence. Like, I've done this against a very good team in college, and I know I can do it. So that's really everything that it did for me. I've done it against good defense, and I've done it at an entire another school. Yeah. So just coming over here, I know that football is still football, and I can do it regardless.
Obviously, being able to get through spring ball and 1 week through fall camp, do you feel like anything maybe a little bit more comfortable, or you're kind of handling things better now than maybe 4 or 5 months ago?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel a lot more comfortable. I feel like the team has responded to me in a great way, and I just feel like we're all coming together in all types of ways. Spring for me was an adjustment period, just being across the country, and everything started kicking in as spring ball went on. But I feel acclimated now, and I'm really comfortable where we are and where this position is.
How is it? Obviously, I know Ted White's a guy that came worked with you at UCLA last year. How is it just to kind of having a familiar face in the room?
Yeah, it's good because it's somebody that knows how I am and knows what I'm good at, knows what I struggle with, and knows how to talk to me and knows how to relate that message to the other coaches. So it's good to have that familiarity just with me in the quarterback room, and I know how he coaches. So that's a good way for me to respond to, and I like it.
And Justin, talking about your relationship with Pep Hamilton, how is that going so far, especially being a veteran transferring from UCLA? It's
going great. I respect Pep, and I truly believe that God put us both here at the same time for a reason. Just him being successful with rookie quarterbacks in the past. He knows how to get inexperienced guys, yards and, get high passing percentages and everything. So I feel like it's a true blessing that he's here, and I love him.
What are you seeing from Malik and Christian? What are they doing well in camp so far?
Christian, his feet they're always in rhythm, and he's a real accurate passer, and I feel like he's learned the timing of each concept very well. He's not holding on to the ball too long, he's not padding, he's letting it go. So that's what I would say. And Malik's going to be Malik. He's a talented kid, and he always finds a way to make the play work. So I feel like they both have bright futures.
Kind of touching on an earlier question, last year you started against Penn State. What did you take from that experience?
Really that, if I put my mind to it, I can't be messed with, honestly. Penn State was a great learning experience for me because it was supposed to be a big stage and a great team, but it didn't faze me. And I appreciate God for putting me in that situation because that was the one opportunity that I had. And that sense of confidence, like I said earlier, is what that really gave me. And now I know, I can do this no matter what ups, what downs, I can do this at any given moment.
How did you survive your first DC summer here without the heat and humidity?
Oh my goodness. It was different. I had never experienced anything like it. The first practice was the hottest and most difficult practice I've ever had in my life. So it was different. But that's just a part of the game. You never know where you're going to end up, especially when you get to the league. You don't know what team you're going to go to. And, I feel like it's good to get me exposed to that now as opposed to during the season. So it's been a transition, but I'm acclimated.
It's amazing. The thoughts on the first day of heat. I know you and I collectively probably lost about 20 pounds that day. So,
no
so when
doubt.
he speaks of that, it was almost 100 degrees. It was like 70% of humidity. You could literally feel it on your skin that day. It was Hades. It was
Yeah,
the practice in Hades that day for sure, bro.
and that day was kind of cool compared to the rest of the summer. He,
Yeah.
you know, 'cause I remember I went to talk to the guys when his first appearance back in I think it was April, March or April. Can't remember off the top of my head, but it was getting to the point where the summers turned to that 80, 90, 100 degree, 80% humidity days, and he said his first day of practice was, you know, it was something he's never experienced. And he's from California. California's known for but California don't have that humidity like we have here in DC.
No, it does not. It does not.
No,
And it
I've
cools off in the evening too.
Yes.
So
My friend,
that's
Southern California is like, Southern California has like 5 different climates. You have the you have the valley, of the desert, you have you have downtown, and you have the beach.
The mountains.
All that different mountains. You have all different climates down there, and none of them have the swampiness of the DMV.
And swampiness is a great analogy because I mean I've done a lot of I've been to football games and covered games in the South for a good portion of my life, and there is nothing like the Southeast when you got to make trips from Georgia to South Carolina to Florida to Bama to Mississippi to Louisiana between July and middle August. You will lose a lot of weight. So I thought he was real candid about that. But I also like in his statement, he did show without having a chip on his shoulder that he's got everything in a perspective. You know what I'm saying? When he says, I look at the other quarterbacks I'm competing against and look back at where they are in their lives. I've been through it before. I've seen that. That's an extension of your coach, right? That's got to be a good thing. It'll be interesting to see how the demeanor in the room changes, if you will, when the ultimate decision is there. Now, I think the character of all 3 of the quarterbacks is going to be that we're going to do our best. We're going to be in shape and be ready to play. All right. And we're going to support our colleague as best we can. But you can't underscore the ego that makes the players under center the players that they are. And while we, some people will say to you from a religious standpoint, the ego is easing God out. I would argue that ego is what drives a lot of people to greatness, not arrogance, but confidence. And there's a fine line to that. There's a supremely confident quarterback room. I don't get any sense of arrogance from those, from anybody who's competing right now. They seem to have it grounded. They seem to have it at a point where there's no division in the locker room. Because you've seen how in the past, even at the pro level, when those guys realize that the person that, let's say in this state, quarterback is under position or under center, I should say, and not getting the job done. Let's be real for a second. Just because these 18 to 24-year-old student athletes, they're a lot more savvy than the kids from back in the day. They got a lot more accessibility to information. They've got a lot. They've been through some things. And when you transfer from the Cali lifestyle to the College Park, Maryland lifestyle, it's a transition. And the demeanor of the 3 young men who are handling this intense competition, but won't let it be pressure packed as of yet. It's just amazing to me to watch the maturity that they're showing. And those aren't just good college football players. These are people that are going to be great performers if their professional career is in something other than sports. I do believe that.
Yeah, and his major is in management studies, so he's got to learn. He's going to have to know to use those skills to manage the team. And one more thing is I want to point out before we move on to the other Martin, no relation, is the fact that he's played in the Big Ten already. I mean, he's played UCLA, which is still weird saying UCLA and Big Ten in the same sentence.
Crazy. It is crazy.
But
it's how old we are, but it is crazy.
Exactly. I finally got used to saying Maryland and Big Ten a few years ago. Now, guys, I got to add these West Coast teams in, but he knows what Big Ten football is like. He's seen it from from UCLA. He played against Penn State, had a pretty solid game against Penn State. One of the blue bloods of the conference. So I think that's going to probably be his leg up in the competition. In fact, that he's played a few games against Big Ten competition already, so he knows the pressure, the more the level of competition he needs to step his game up.
The lay of the land.
The lay of the land. That is a good way.
That's
all right.
He understands, and there's no better recipe for success than experience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can talk it, you can practice it, you can super study it.
I'm on practice.
Yeah, we're talking about practice, not the game. Practice, practice. And like I said, these guys bring a humility and a sense of purpose to that quarterback room. And I kept waiting for somebody to show me some ego in their comments. The demeanor in that press availability spoke volumes. Either A, they're well coached by the sports information department and knows how to do a great job at answering, or this is just another character mindset that we don't often like to see or give credit when young men, who are maturing, have a grasp on life that's bigger than just the game. It's really interesting. I really enjoy this dynamic that's brewing. It'll be interesting to see if they feel that same way in the middle of October.
That's true. And we're going to move on to the other quarterback battle for a spot. That is Christian Martin. A quick background of this young man. Christian Martin was a 3-star recruit coming out of Highland Springs, Virginia, right outside Richmond. So for those who don't know, that air part of Virginia is very good football country. Richmond, if you go even further east down to like Norfolk areas,
Tidewater,
yes. What was UVA and Tech used to do was recruit those areas well, and obviously they don't do that well because those programs have fallen off in recent years. But
isn't it funny though how that dynamic has changed? Because especially when you start talking about Blacksburg, great college football atmosphere, just not the same since Frank Beamer retired. It is what it is. I mean, they've had difficulty following a legendary coach. Things have dropped off dramatically at UVA, which really does, from a recruiting standpoint, put Maryland back in the mix. And I will say this: bigger conference, better opportunities to get to the college football playoff because you're going to have more quad wins amongst your conference teams like Maryland does. ACC can't say that anymore. Sorry, ACC. All right, it's over. Dean Smith ain't walking through the door. Dick Crum ain't letting Lawrence Taylor run crazy in Chapel Hill. Bobby Ross ain't at Georgia Tech no more. It is just not the same.
George Welsh
Why do I bring
UVA,
that up? Why do I bring that up? Maryland can go down there with a couple of winning seasons and make a move and start getting those players, especially when you got recruiters like Hamilton and Loxley and Monachino, who can go down there and get those guys and recruit them. If Maryland can go down there and steal the players that Virginia Tech and UVA were stealing from up here in the early 2000s, it flips the dynamic not only of their programs and Maryland's programs, but if Maryland gets their inroad back into Tidewater, they can flip the script and be a team that's looking in the eye of the blue bloods in this league sooner rather than later. And I do believe that Tidewater area is big. As much as they want to lock their arms around the state of Maryland, which is good, if you can, infiltrate the Tidewater region, I think all you got to do is win big, get a couple of big pelts. Those guys will come to Maryland and enjoy themselves and take that image home, which is not what I want to demean Virginia Tech, but everybody who I know that went to Virginia Tech to play had to make a lifestyle choice, because it's a lot less cosmopolitan down there. And when you have a great recruiting base up here that's more cosmo, I think they would be more reluctant to go down there than to stay home. You just got to make it look like you can compete for the college football playoffs. And I think Maryland is doing just that.
And the commute is not about the same from Richmond to Blacksburg or Norfolk to Blacksburg is to College Park. It's not the distance wise, it's not the problem. It's just a different state. But I digress. But I want to give you one more thing before we hear from him. He's a heck of an athlete in high school. Threw for 2,388 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and ran for 773 yards and 13 touchdowns, becoming the All-Metro Player of the Year, and he also won a championship in basketball. So the kid is an athlete. So, you heard what Justin Martin say, he's got good feet, and that's at basketball. His basketball skills translate over across to the football field, having the good feet, able to put his feet in the right position to make the right throws. So that's another thing, parents, have your kids play all sports because that's going to make them better players overall. But moving on, let's hear from Christian Martin and what he had to say at the fall practice.
Great, competing, being back out here on the field again. I've been out here since spring. Camp's been going great, and just being around the guys every day, learning more football, getting better as a team has been great.
Obviously, you all want to be the starter on the first day, but you kind of describe what the competition is like and then the camaraderie in the quarterback's room as well.
It's competitive, but we're a brotherhood at the end of the day. Everybody's trying to get everybody better. Obviously, everybody just goes out there, puts their best foot forward, and allows the coaches to make decisions at the end of the day.
What are the coaches asking from you specifically when you spoke to Pep and to Locks about what they want to see out of you?
It's really the same thing they want to see from everybody. Fluid in the system, being able to push the tempo, whatever tempo we're at, executing the plays, protecting the football, and making the necessary checks and throws.
Do you feel you have any kind of advantage or maybe more insight since you've been in the system, a year longer than Justin and Malik have?
I wouldn't say necessarily an advantage. I think we've all been coached like the same, and we've done a great job as a room, doing everybody on the team, meeting extra time, and I think everybody's caught up to really like the same level.
Since the spring and during the summer, what are some of the areas of your game that you've tried to develop?
Tried to obviously get bigger, stronger, faster, become more accurate of a passer, and then just honestly become better within this system, doing what I can do to help us win or make us better.
Now, Christian, you're coming into this year, being here last year with the other guys. You have Malik and you have Justin. What's the difference between that competition between last year?
I would say last year, difference for me was just kind of just sitting back and learning. I was a freshman, came in the summer, so it was more so just sitting back and learning. This year is kind of actually being actively in the quarterback competition and being more so on the field of competing and having to show what I can do more than just kind of being new to the system, I guess, is the biggest difference.
And coming off of a big spring game for you, how are you looking to make a statement this year as the quarterback for the Terps?
Well, quarterback hasn't been named yet. We'll find that out. Coach Locks will name that at one point. But whoever it goes, I think they'll go out there and do great at the end of the day.
What have Justin and Malik been doing well in camp that you're able to kind of implement into your own game?
I would say both of them, they've been really big, or they have great energy every day. I think both those guys have great energy, and they're also, Justin, a very accurate passer, Malik's a very accurate passer, and I think they've both done very well with knowing the system, getting to the proper checks.
Christian, obviously, just being a lone guy that's really familiar with the system, do you feel like there are kind of any main differences or anything that kind of sticks out to you between last year's offense and what you guys are working on this fall camp?
I think it's a big emphasis on us being physical. That's probably the biggest difference. But other than that, a lot of very similar.
Can you talk to us about the offensive line and the changes that have been made there?
Those guys are putting a lot of work, so it has been a lot of changes, but those guys are putting in the work to be a cohesive unit up front, and I think it's coming all well together.
He said it right there.
He did.
Toughness, cohesiveness, working the spring game. And Evan has a great comment here. He had a great show in the spring game. That is true. He had one heck of a game in the spring game. I think he won spring game MVP that year. This year he threw for 3 touchdowns, and I have to go back and look at the numbers, but he had one heck of a game in the spring game. So, and I'd also like the fact that we've heard from both him, Justin, and Christian about what they like about their competition, the other quarterbacks, and they what do they think that the other guys bring to the game. So, I on perspective, you said they're being maybe too friendly. I think it's a different era now. You don't have to be as cutthroat to get to where you want to be. If you think that at the end of the day, it's the team has to win. So if
Right.
they feel like this is the way how they can motivate each other by being complimentary to each other and help build each other up versus trying to tear the other person down, I think that's a different way to approach it when it comes to competing for quarterback in college football.
Well, I think this may not be the norm around the country. This may be the exception. You do have people that come in. I mean, I don't know, but the landscape has changed so much now, Chuck. It's not like you're recruiting 4 quarterbacks to come in at the same time. More often than not, if you're bringing in a couple quarterbacks this year, that means you're probably not satisfied with the caliber of player that you're getting right now. And I'm just going to have to use Mike Locksley's words in, the kickoff presser to camp. I mean, this is a pay-per-play thing now. Make no mistake about it. You are, in fact, employees if you're taking NIL money. Maryland is now a player in the NIL game. So at some level, it does come down to dollars and cents. How you going to, I hate to put it in real terms.
If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
And if you can't, make the start, they're not going to keep on paying you. They're going to end, that revenue stream, and you're going to have to find another one. So the pressures of this era of college student athlete, all right, is a different level of pressure than we've seen since you and I have been old enough to watch football. I'll be 60 next year. You know what I'm saying? I've been at this watching the game for like 40 years, understanding what the hell I know about it. And it's a new world order. And maybe there's the humility that goes with, if I don't make it here, how's that going to impact me? That may have kept these kids grounded. But competitors are competitors. And this competition is going to be really interesting to watch play out, and then how things work out. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the most critical decision of camp to me, because and we're going to talk about the defense in future weeks. But again, some of the people that I know who are closer on the inside of the program, parents, relatives of kids, they've told me that they expect a big jump with the defense. And I think the defense is going to give each of these guys, or whoever's the guy this year, a chance to stay in the game and win it. Okay. So when you look at everything that's in the mix, I think a name that is going to be really, really big for them, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him before the season starts. Azar Abdul-Rahim, who has been a phenomenal defensive coordinator on various levels. This is a guy that's coming in and is going to be the associate head coach for defense. And he also is handling the secondary. While Ted Monachino is going to be the driving force, my people tell me that Abdul-Rahim is one of the bright minds in the game. If you're and you know something, Chuck, sometimes the best offense is a killer defense, right? Which shrinks the field, which helps the offense, I should say, operate more efficiently. A lot easier to score from 40 yards from the opposition's goal line than it is from 60 or 80. And I think that the defense will have a great big impact on whatever success the starting quarterback has. Because if what people tell me, and I have not seen it from my eyes, but if Maryland's defense plays the way that people think they are, that's going to make the offense better. So it'll be interesting to see whoever gets, especially when you get through the first 3 games, which should be wins, and you start getting into conference stuff. That's where we're going to have to see, who's that dude under center. And I also don't believe that just because you win the job out of camp, it's yours for good. You know what I'm saying? I could see a scenario where, and God forbid there's an injury. That's not what we're talking about. But if there's inefficiency at play, then again, you don't have to worry about bruising anybody's ego now because they're getting paid. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make the move in the best of the team. And I think Locke's got to make the move for him. So I'm not necessarily one of those people that's looking to say that the guy that wins the starting job out of camp is the guy that's going to take the team to the finish line up under center this year. All right. But you would hope that's the case. That's a perfect scenario because if the defense steps up, you get solid quarterback play, and Pep's going to have a team that runs the football. I mean, I seen Indiana do it last year, and I kind of judge Maryland's opportunity on what we saw from the Hoosiers last year.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to say I didn't mention about Christian Martin. His last year at Highland Springs was 15-0 and won the VHSL Class 5 state championship. And I mean, that means you're getting a winner, a guy who knows how to lead a team to the championship game, to the promised land, as they say sometimes. So that is a cute, and it's funny. His last game he's actually physically played in was a championship game. So think about that when it comes to like him possibly getting the starting job here at the University of Maryland.
True indeed.
Okay.
It's a fascinating battle to watch, though. I'm really, and you know something. Competition in practice makes for a better all-around team, and Locksman down there with Nick Saban, and some of the stories I hear about those practices was the great intensity was between the third and fourth string players just to move up the chart, because the first two tiers of players were 4 or 5 star prospects. But that's how you keep your pipeline going, and that's how you maintain your consistency. And it looks as though that's the direction that Loxley is taking the program.
Yeah, and speaking of competition, you have the I guess we call him the star recruit this season, and that is Malik Washington, who is a true freshman out of Archbishop. Excuse me, I had to.
Carroll, isn't it?
Yes, Archbishop Spalding, excuse me. Archbishop Spalding out of Glen Burnie, Maryland. So again, having the local guys stay here in Maryland, play for the big school of the state and University of Maryland. Quick little background about this young man. Consensus 4-star recruit, top 50 ranked recruit in the nation according to 247 Sports. Second ranked player in Maryland, 5th quarterback in the nation. ESPN 300 and Rivals 250 selection. He was the first quarterback in the league history to win 3 consecutive MIAA titles. All-time passing leader in MIAA history. 25-0 conference play record as a starter. 3-time conference champion. 65.3 completion rate. 1,970 yards and 22 passing touchdowns while attending. So adding 8 more on the ground in the senior season. Elite 11 finalists, U.S. Army All-American, U.S. Navy All-American, member of the 24/7 Sports 2005 Freaks List. Also played basketball again.
Did you say Freaks List?
Freaks List. So that means he's
really?
Yeah.
Now you know they got too many damn lists in sports. A Freaks List. Wow.
Yes.
We can take that list to places like politics and go off on a tangent.
Not that kind of freak. I think more like Javon Curse freak than that kind of freak.
Freaks List. Does that mean he came out at night? I mean, what's up?
Wow. Maybe he might have been born at night. He also played on Team Mello on the AAU circuit and earned all conference honors as a sophomore. He was high school teammates with fellow commits Jaden Ships and Delmar White. So he's got some of his boys with him from high school who are on the team as well.
But I guess they're not freaks.
No, they're not all freaks.
Wow.
I'm going to do some research on what the Team 47 Freaks List is, but so he is probably, like I said, one of the best recruits at quarterback to come to Maryland in a long time. And so that means he can possibly 4 years of this guy on the center could be something that can change the whole aspect of Maryland football moving forward.
Well, my question would be, if it doesn't work out right, given that he's coming in as a true freshman, and they put a red shirt on him. And see, with the new world order NIL, I don't know if you can redshirt anybody. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to wrap my arms around the rules, right? Because if you are an NIL athlete and you're not going to participate and they're going to keep you there so that you can sort of grow into the position, do you still and that's some research that quite frankly I'm gonna have to do on that, because the changing dynamics of the way that the game is operated these days makes you wonder, because this would have been Malik in another day and age. If he did not start coming in, you would put the red shirt on him and you'd still have him for 4 years of eligibility after a year of grooming. These days, with the amount of money that's on the line, it's kind of hard to, you know, put a tag on somebody and put them kind of in the refrigerator. You know how parents would make the food, the chili, and freeze it and then pull it out in the winter. I don't know if you can do that anymore, but Maryland would be the perfect place right now to try to find a way to protect themselves from losing all 3 quarterbacks, God forbid. You know, find a way to keep one, for lack of a better term. And I love, you know, Doc Walker said, keep him in bubble wrap. You know, keep one of them in bubble wrap. Just let him enjoy the perks of being a football player without taking the punishment. And then next season, it perhaps is his job, if he just doesn't come out there and, you know, turn the lights out. I mean, you know, he could handle that. But this is a very, very interesting dynamic. It's very important for them to get it right, but it's also important for them not to sacrifice the future. But like we heard at the kickoff, paper play time means, just like our job, don't deliver, don't keep your job. So it's a really interesting balance, because at this stage of most of these young men's lives, this is supposed to set them up for the rest of their lives. And it's a tough dynamic for a lot of kids in this generation to bounce back from adversity. So I'm anxious to see what are going to be the ramifications with the other 2 very talented, high-end prospects that can play anywhere who came to Maryland, figuring it was going to be their time. Will they be patient enough to wait for it to come around, especially if things go to the left this year?
Well, let's hear from Malik himself and see what he has to say after the practice this past Tuesday evening.
Right into questions from Malik.
Now, Malik, you're not just playing for any team. You're playing right here in your hometown. What does that mean to you?
It means the world to me, you know, just to have my family and friends, people that, you know, allow me to get here, be so close, and be able to come watch me play. It's a blessing.
Can you describe what the quarterback's room is like? Obviously, you all want to be the starter on the first game, but just the camaraderie, and then what the competition is like on the field.
Yeah, we're all best friends, and we're all rooting for each other, and I think that makes us kind of special, just because we just want to see the next person win. So no matter who's getting the reps that day, like whoever's out there, everybody's excited to see them win, because we spend so much time together that we kind of have no choice but to be friends.
What do you do to balance that camaraderie, knowing that you want to separate yourself too, though, and be the guy that gets the coach's attention as the starter for the opener?
I mean, I really think just because we're such close friends, there's never really any bad blood there. Like, it's not so much, oh, I want to see myself win, as like it's not me wanting to see them lose. It's so much like I want to see myself win, just because I know we all put in the work.
What have you found are the biggest challenges for you making the leap from high school to major college football?
In the spring, it was probably the speed of the game, just trying to get used to it. You know, everybody out here is pretty good. Everybody out here is fast. Everybody is big, strong, and physical. So just getting used to, you know, not being the best player on the field anymore. Now it's like you're out here with a bunch of guys who are all the best player in high school, and now being able to get everybody together and see, you know, what works and what doesn't.
And the part of practice we saw, it was Justin and Christian doing most of the throwing. Was it just a kind of a rep, like a maintenance day for you, or did you get more reps in after later in the day?
Yeah, you know, we're just dealing with something lower body right now, nothing too major. You know, I'll be back very soon. Very excited to get back. So just, you know, taking some time to get my body right and recover and things like that.
What are Justin and Christian doing well in camp that you're able to learn from and bring into your own game?
They're both very cerebral, you know, smart guys. So the way they, you know, see the defense pre-snap and then confirm it post-snap, just be able to learn from both of them, who have a little bit more experience than me, and, you know, how to deal with the ebbs and flows of not just football, but, you know, college as a whole, dealing with classes and different things like that, to be able to manage all of that.
Malik, how nerve-wracking is it that you have to wait for Mike to make an announcement who the starter will be?
Not super. It's just it's what comes with it. It's what I do before coming in. What I'm gonna know no matter where you go in life. Like, it's always gonna be a competition, and you kind of gotta wait to see who wins in the end. But whoever wins in the end, we'll all be super excited for.
Do you kind of wish though he make a announcement sooner rather than later?
I mean, it is what it is. Coach has his reasons behind it. I'm sure, he has a reason for it on his own. But just like I said, we're just excited to see.
Malik, what kind of gives you the confidence in the offense the first week of camp?
We just put in a lot of work through the off season. From the winter and the spring, just getting out here, getting in meetings almost every day. Just learning from each other, learning from Coach. Coach Pep has a lot of knowledge that he's passing down onto us, to where we can kind of hold the reins ourselves, and being able to come out here and operate without having to worry about too much is pretty good.
I know you talked about just transitioning and just getting ready from high school to college, but do you feel like there was anything that maybe just going into it or kind of getting comfortable that maybe was a little bit easier than you anticipated?
Yeah, I think getting here early helped with that too. Like, it wasn't like I just kind of got thrown into the fire. It was I got here early, got in with the guys during winter workouts, kind of built that camaraderie and that friendship before spring ball started, and now I know more people than I do before if I would just got here in the summer.
Can you describe your relationship with Pep and kind of how it's been working with him as the new offensive coordinator?
It's been great. I've known Coach for a while. Back in like 8th grade, Jackson came out to the Maryland Heat for a little bit, so I just knew them from that relationship then, and getting to see him again and seeing all his success he had on the NFL level and with a bunch of different guys has been amazing to learn from.
Malik, not many true freshmen get the opportunity to start during their freshman year. How do you feel about that chance in front of you to join that short list of true freshmen who started?
It's a great opportunity. Like I said, whoever goes out, we're always going to be excited for. So I just can't wait to see who it is.
Malik, do you feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, or do you in general when it comes to that you do want to be the starting quarterback?
Not really. It's going to be what it's going to be. I kind of learn to control what I can control. So I'm going to come out here every day and give it my best, and the end result's going to be the end result.
And what's your personal confidence level that you will be the starter this year for Maryland?
I mean, I'm always confident in myself. I'm going to believe in myself no matter what, no matter where I'm at. It's always high for me.
Malik, you kind of manifested this moment as a young kid. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's been great. Since I can remember, I just love the game of football. I know I always wanted to, get first. It was, playing varsity in high school, and then after that, it was playing, Division I football. And now I'm here just trying to make the best of it that I can.
The coach said your playbook is very similar for all your guys' skill sets. So what do you have to do to stand out above Justin and Christian when it comes to playing the starting job?
I think just learning the playbook ins and outs, knowing it like the back of our hands, it will help. Whoever gets that edge, just being able to understand the offense to a complete understanding.
Like, there are a number of true freshmen like yourself who are expected to make immediate impact. What does that say about this class, and how meaningful is that you guys can have that opportunity now rather than later?
It's been great. We got to keep a lot of talented guys home in this class, so just seeing all of our work, come to fruition out here on the field, it's been amazing.
Is there a lot of pressure, though, on you and your classmates to make that immediate impact?
I think not really. I mean, people are always going to put, outside pressure, but it's really how we feel internally, and I feel that everybody, from our class feels great about themselves and the position that they're in, and we're all putting in the work.
Take two more.
On the note of the offensive line a little bit more with you, have you seen, how maybe Coach Locke has put some added pressure on them because, they struggled last year with just kind of get some insight?
Yeah, the O-line, they're doing a great job. They've put in a lot of work over the winter, more than, most position groups, just because that's the area of the game that you need, especially in the Big Ten. Come late in them later games down the line, it gets cold. Like, you're gonna need them big boys up front to be your workhorses. So they put in so much work, not even just in the weight room, but in the meeting room and on the field, that I'm very confident in them.
And what about your running back group? How you feel about your core running backs right there?
They look great. They had a great day today. All of them are super explosive. They do well in pass protection. They're kind of real. What's the word? Like full rounded backs. Like they have it all.
Hey, Chuck.
Okay. Yo.
There's so many layers to what he was saying that are backed when you look at the stat pack coming into camp. And let me just roll off some stats about Maryland's pass game. It's the only FBS school to rank in the top 3 of its conference passing yards per game in each of the last 5 seasons. Okay, so while you don't see wins and losses and high places in the standings, when you bring in 3 quarterbacks with this pedigree and this talent and these expectations, that's something to watch. Maryland's offense is also ranked in the top 3 in Big Ten passing yards per game each of the last 4 seasons. The Terps ranked 3rd in the league in passing last season at over 275 yards per game, and led the Big Ten in the category in 2023 at 278.9 yards per game. What that tells me is that there were already tenets in what Mike Locksley's offense was trying to do that they were having success in. It just means now you need that next level trigger man. And it looks with the three guys that they've had, they've got somebody that can get the ball to a dude who I think who could be a dark horse All-America candidate, and that's Jaleel Farouk, the receiver. His last year, another guy from Lanham, Maryland, not that far from me, coming back after 36 games in Oklahoma, where he made 25 starts. He had over 1,200 yards and 89 receptions, and he was also a versatile player on special teams. I bring him up because quarterback's best friend is a reliable receiver. Receiver's best friend is an accurate, athletic quarterback. And I'm projecting here, paper gets a lot of people fired. But when you look at it on paper and you think about it analytically, you bring in a Pep Hamilton to embrace the principles of Mike Locksley, who's part of that Nick Saban tree. Let's be real, lay it out. You got more money to spend. You got three talented quarterbacks. You got an outstanding returning receiver. The defense should be able to keep you in closer games. I mean, the dynamics appear on paper to be in place to do something special if one of these young men really stands out. And most importantly, God forbid, if the starter gets hurt, you got basically two 4.5-star prospects that are kind of waiting in the bullpen, if you will. There's a cerebral nature to this rebuild, at least foundationally. You're still dealing with 18 to 24-year-old kids. You never know who's going to show up on any given day to do a big thing or make a critical mistake. But just the philosophy, the mentality, and the organization of moving towards being a big player in the Big Ten. There's a mentality that has come into the athletic department now that we are a player in this league. We can be a shark, not a guppy. And Maryland has been a guppy for a little while. And I think right now, you know how babies have their teeth coming in? I think Maryland is getting those baby shark teeth coming in right now. I really do.
Well, you look at it, they're replacing a Billy Edwards Jr. last season, who had 65% completion percentage, 2,881 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. So not a terrible season, but he's only threw 15 touchdowns in 11 games started. So that's not going to cut it on the major college level. Now, if these guys can do anything, 20 or more touchdowns, and keep the INT count low, that's probably going to bump them from 4 wins to 7 to 8 wins. So if you think about just getting anything more productive out of the quarterback position from any of these three guys, who should definitely make this team be more competitive. But also, another thing we're going to talk about next week is probably the running back room, because that's also going to be a key to having this team move forward. Because what you said, a quarterback's best friend is a receiver. I think a quarterback's best friend is a quality running game.
Okay,
because
I'll give you that.
Off the court, especially these young guys who have not had a lot of experience on the field. If you get a quarterback, I think back to a year, one of the best years they had when they had Talia and they had the running back. His name escapes McFadden. His name was McPherson. McFadden. I can't remember. Those two guys put up great numbers. So and Talia had one of his best years, and McFadden had his best year running back. And that was like Maryland had 8 wins that year and went to a bowl game. So you have production from the backfield, production from the under center, production outside, and they have a couple good tight ends as well on this roster too, who can help bail out the quarterback if the pass rush gets to him. He has some check down with the tight ends too. So all three of these guys are going to have to show something over the next couple of weeks, and as I said, Coach will announce the starter probably the Sunday before the week before the first game against Florida and Atlantic. So we'll see. I mean, I think the talent is there, and just the question is, can they put the talent together and execute into a winning program moving forward?
Well, coaching chemistry is the greatest challenge that any coach in any sport on any level has to deal with. You know, you want to bring all these glistening pieces and turn it into one great big puzzle, but sometimes you have too many shapes that just don't fit. It just doesn't add up. It looks like the jigsaw puzzle has enough pieces, and the coaching staff is going to have to connect them, and I think they will. And I think this is as much about Pep Hamilton. And again, it's sexy when you're passing the football around. This team's going to run the football. Okay, let's be clear about that. Pep is not going to just play like, Air Coryell or, we're not just going to spread out and just go try to do some of that crazy Big 12 stuff. Let's just let Baker go down there and just try the ball on up. Go Baker, go Baker, go Baker. We can't do that in this league because a lot of cold weather games. You got to run the football. And I think at some level, Chuck, and we lament the heat right now, late October, early November is in Maryland. Okay. Not as cold as, say, Michigan, Ohio, Iowa. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot colder than it is in other places around the country. Maryland if you can play, and this has always been my theory, and if you can play a high level offense in cold weather, you'll dominate when it's warm. And Maryland's going to have a pretty sophisticated offense that's going to be able to, make a significant amount of big plays and flip the field. But I think ball control is going to be key too. And Pep likes to run the football. And so there seems to be a simple equation to me for the success of these quarterbacks. Average 3.5 yards per carry. If Maryland can average 3.5 yards per carry, 3 rushes, first down. That means your play action stuff works. That means if you go to a first down and you want to go deep, that's probably out there on the table as well. So watch that. Those are 2 big factors. Quarterback is always the sexy conversation, but the games are won in the trenches. And when you can make those 4 or 5 big plays in the game, that's what changes the dynamic. Maryland has not made enough of those big plays recently, and the defense hasn't stopped when they should. Those 2 factors will make whomever's up under center better. And as this camp continues to roll over the next 20 days or so, I'm anxious to see how those 2 levels impact the quarterback play going in. And then you have the 3 weeks of, regular season games, which I see as more like preseason, with all due respect to Florida, Atlantic, Northern Illinois, and Towson. To me, the real season doesn't start until October the 20th at Wisconsin. It then becomes put up or shut up for me, and I think that's a telling game. That right there, especially since it's on the road, is going to be, to me, the season opener to let you know where you stand against the big boys in your conference. Because we know one thing: Wisconsin's big, they physical, they run the football, and they traditionally have great running backs. We're going to learn a lot about the direction of this team, in my opinion, on September the 20th when Maryland goes to Wisconsin. That's must-see TV, and I will be sitting right in front of mine, or at least have it on the DVR player, unless I'm calling a game.
Anthony McFarland is the name of the running back I was thinking of. Anthony McFarland, who had one heck of a season in 2019, where he rushed for 1,034 yards. But he was drafted in the 4th round with the Steelers. Now he plays for the San Antonio Brahmas in the UFL. But you said something about 3.5 yards a carry. Last season, Maryland averaged 3.6 yards a carry. The problem was they gave up 3.8 yards a carry, and they allowed 136.8 yards per game. So that's gonna be a topic for another show about their defensive line, their defensive front, and how they're going to be able to stop the rush. Because also, if you look at some of their numbers compared to offense compared to defense, They outthrew their opponents last year, 33-08 to 28-96. But they gave up. They threw for 21 touchdowns. They gave up 22 touchdowns. Passing yards, they outthrew most of their opponents, but that also could be accounted for the fact they were trailing a lot of these games. They're playing from behind, so they did throw the ball a lot more than you normally would when you're leading. And it said total offense, their total offense was better than what they gave up on defense, but it's just they didn't have enough. They didn't have that playmaker under center to put them over the top when it comes to making those big plays to win games.
Well, again, it comes down. The bigger picture is getting better defensively to reduce that potential for your like 3.8 yards, almost 4 yards per carry that they were averaging giving up per rush. You get bludgeoned like that, because and that's another big factor. And again, we still got a few more weeks until the start of the season, but I'm at peace kind of with the way that the offense has the potential to look. This is going to be first year with a different coordinator and a few big coaching changes. But I will say this: if the defense keeps them in games, which oftentimes in the conference, the game would get away somewhere around the middle of the second quarter to the middle of the third quarter, and then we're just counting down to the end of the game in the fourth. I think if Maryland can just play close in some games, and I say that because the game at Wisconsin has to be ugly because Wisconsin doesn't play a beautiful game. Yeah. It's ugly, but it wins. Iowa plays ugly football, but they win. Northwestern plays ugly football, but they win. Okay, and that's the dilemma. I'm old enough to remember Eric Coryell, San Diego Chargers, right? They played a beautiful game and couldn't win nothing. And we've seen so many like the run and shoot offenses and stuff like that. No, you got it's a balance between ball control and big plays on offense. Defense, it's about the grind. And that's where the greatest transition has to come from for me, because early in the season, when you get to Wisconsin, you're going to need the defense more than you need the O. You got to shut them down, and you got to force them into trying to pass. And I will say this: they do seem to find a way to have just enough quarterbacking and a dominant run game to match that awesome defense that they continue to have. To me, I couldn't think of a better benchmark game to judge yourself by where you are in the context of your conference than that game on the road to open your conference schedule. I can't wait for the Wisconsin game to see how it shakes out.
All right. So we're going to wrap this up here real quick and say, which quarterback do we believe will be under center day one? All three quarterbacks bring something to the table. We have a little bit of experience with Justin Martin. You have someone who's been here and Christian Martin. You have the phenom and Malik Washington. There is each one throughout the show. Each one brings something different to the table, and each one has the ability to be the starting quarterback. The question is, who will win it coming out of camp?
We're only a week in now, Chuck. So it's like taking a preseason bet and banking on who's going to get to the Super Bowl. The intangibles seem to be with Malik, but I kind of like early on in the season the returning vet, so to speak, Justin. And with having not seen with practice being, closed off offensively, and I wasn't at the spring game, so I don't have any visual perspective to give it to you, but just the vibe would see that he would be the starter to open the season. And again, we don't know, but there's so much talent in that room. It's got to be one of those situations where Mike and Pep are going to have to resist the temptation to just, what we talking baseball, the quick hook. It'll be he's got 3 legitimate starters. How long would he be willing to see struggles from a quarterback? So I'm thinking that the incumbent right now, 2 weeks into camp, would probably be the starter. But with the talent in that room, somebody could explode, and then you get your fall game, and we may have a totally different dynamic. That's a long-winded way of saying I just don't know. I'd like to, it's too much talent. It's an embarrassment of riches in that room right now, the likes of which I don't think I've seen.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with, this is my long shot. I think Malik will win for one reason only, because he's a high-level recruit, and that's a good way to get other high-level recruits to come in to play for Maryland. Because, like, hey, if you're a high-level recruit and you see, oh, they're bitching at 4 and 5 stars guys, why would I want to go there? Or I could go somewhere else in part. So that's the only reason I would think Malik will start. I would put it this way, in ranked choice order. I put Malik, Christian, Justin is my ranked choice order. Malik because he's has the most talent. Christian because he's been here, and Justin because he is the only one who's actually taken actual snaps in college football in his career. So
right, and that has to count for something, and a little bit more familiarity with the offense. So it's going to be interesting to see. And believe it or not, that's what makes Malik so interesting as a prospect. Because maybe okay, we'll keep you around, put the shirt on you for this year, and you're the guy. Depending on how it shakes out, and there's so many intangibles that go on in the room when they're conversing, looking at tape, going through all the layers of intellectual property that you have to play at that position. I think that's going to be the key. And none of the guys have shown us that they don't pick up on things quickly. So in one regard, you appreciate the competition, but it's going to be a tough decision on Mike and Pep to get it right. And I'm just glad that they're far more thought-provoking minds when making this decision than me, because I'll be waffling all the way to kickoff. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Well, this has been another fantastic show of Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. Professor G. Mark Gray, tell them how the people can follow you on all the social medias.
One word, at the Sports Group. See it like right. What? I guess that would be right there. Yeah.
Right there.
Anyway, it's there. Yeah, under there at the Sports Group. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, X, IG, Snapchat. I'm like, Snapchat is a real interesting platform. But I am there too. So, all over the place in cyberspace. And also follow me at MLBbro.com. We got playoffs coming around the corner, and so we're covering the pennant races, most valuable player races, and a whole lot more. So that's where we at. And hit me up. Let's chat sometime.
And you can find me at all social media platforms at Charles Younger. That's CharlesNyonga, right there, under there, in the lower third, right there. Snap, Facebook, Twitter, X, Threads, IG, TikTok, MySpace.
You still on MySpace? Wow.
Blue
Just
Sky.
won't let it go. And what's that new one? Telegram?
Telegram. That's like a chat. That's another message, like a chatting service that the kids these days use when it comes to like.
Oh no! I have a.
You can find me on Signal too, with the defense secretary on Signal as well.
Who knew you were playing golf with Hedgebeth? That's great.
I got all the defensive secrets, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's a way for us. No, but real talk, I'll tell you off air. I have a prominent broadcaster who reached out to me on Snap, and now we are Telegram.
Snap,
Our,
chat,
yeah,
snappers.
yeah. I've been
Okay.
sworn in secrecy not to tell anybody who it is, so I'll tell you off air.
All right. This has been Maryland Live, the voice of college football. I am Charles Young, along with Professor G. Mark Gray. Stay tuned to us every Friday. Unfortunately, next week I will be out of town for next week, so we will be back the following week with a little bit more college football. We'll have way more content to cover in an hour with 2 weeks of content coming here. But like I said, tune in Fridays for the most part. Every Friday, most part, we will be bringing to you live the best college football talk about the University of Maryland Terrapins, my alma mater. And let's go Terps, and let's go, and we'll see you next week. Deuces.
Deuces.
Sorry, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Deuces.
2 weeks. Later.